Great. Looks like everybody's had a chance to sign in, so we'll go ahead and get started here. Good afternoon, and thank you for participating in today's public comment hearing. I'm Alex Martin, and I serve as the Assistant Commissioner for the Division of Regulatory Boards. The Department is hosting today's hearing to collect public comments on the potential sunsetting of the Board of Court Reporting. This hearing is in response to the request by the Tennessee General Assembly's Joint Government Operations Committee. A sign-up list is available for those interested in speaking. Please see Roxana Gamuccio to my left to get added to the list if you've not had an opportunity to do so. Those interested in speaking will be given 3 minutes to make comments. Candace Dawkins, the Department's legislative liaison, will serve as timekeeper for today. Members of the public may submit written comments using the fillable form on the Board of Court Reporting website. The fillable form will remain open after the hearing until January 19th. All comments provided at today's hearing and through the fillable form will be shared with members of the Joint Government Operations Committee. Additionally, all comments are being recorded and a full video will be saved to the Department's website. Again, thank you for participating in today's hearing. We will now take comments in order of those who have signed up.
All right, first we're going to go out of order for Judge Gaze. He has a conflict, so we're going to start with you, if that's all right with everyone else, and then we'll go off the list.
I am going to do the best that I can to keep it 3 minutes, but this is so important. I hope you all know the significance of what's going on. My name is D. Gay. I'm a court judge of Sumner County. And I'm here on behalf of our licensed court reporters across the state requesting that the Board of Court Reporting continue status quo. Why, you might ask? In criminal court, there's a lot at stake with each case, and it needs to be done right. These court reporters make the record, and the record goes up on appeal. And some of these appeals last 35 years. I've had a death penalty case that went on for 35 years. So it's absolutely that the record be correct. There's a lot at stake, and it needs to be done right. And I know that our court reporters' license can do that. I've been a criminal court judge for 17 and a half years. 26 years I was an assistant district attorney. 43 years I've been in the system, and I can tell you they do a great job. Every single one of them. They are a tremendous asset to criminal court judges. They are responsible for the record. I don't want anybody else doing a record in criminal court that's going to stand up in time other than licensed court reporters. They're responsible for the record. And they are neutral, absolutely neutral. They've got ethical requirements, and they preserve the constitutional rights of those that are on trial and those victims that are on trial. And why should we compromise that for any other system that might not work? Because this works. They are educated, they are tested, they are trained. 2 to 3 years of court reporter school. They must pass 3 exams, 10 hours of CLE training every year, and all to maintain their license. Why do we want to change that? Why do we want to put the criminal justice system in Tennessee at risk? I don't want to bother with unlicensed court reporters. I disagree with the statute 29603D. They've kind of set aside the criminal courts and the federal courts for accepting unlicensed court reporters. I'm never going to do that, and that needs to be changed. If you think anything, if you respect the criminal judicial system, you'll understand what I'm trying to say today. Now, I don't mean to be mean-spirited. I come here in humility. I come here with respect, but you can tell I've got a passion for criminal court justice. It's been my life. And I want you all to understand what we do. The Court Reporting Board maintains ethical requirements. I know there's some issue here. I'm going to finish in just a second. There's some issue here about no complaints being filed. I was a chairman of the Board of Judicial Conduct for 9 years, chairman for the last 4. I rolled off. I wish I had the licensed court reporters to look at complaints over the judges, because the judges are not as ethical as our court reporters are. We are loaded with business in the Board of Judicial Conduct. So why not have an ethical standard? They maintain a registry. They adopt their education requirement, and all this produces accountability. I've got to tell you, I'm in the middle of a jury trial right now, and the jury's deliberating, and there's a lot at stake in that case, but I'm going to ask for a few minutes because this is so important.
Judge, we really want to be respectful of everybody's time. I appreciate your presence here and the passion of which you've spoken, but we do want to make sure that we conduct this in a fair way, and we've asked that everybody be given.
I understand.
Be given 3
you need to
minutes.
hear 2 more things, and then I'll be quiet.
Yes, sir. Please be brief, sir.
I think this is so important, and the thing that I get concerned with in government is sometimes you don't talk to the people that you need to talk to find out what the answer is. Now, I'm not aware of anybody from this department, Insurance and Commerce, talking with any judges about this. They give credibility to our product. It's like a CEO in a company. You want your product to be the best. And that's why I'm here. It is the best. The Tennessee trial judges are all in favor, over 150 of us, of the status quo. There's an email that's gone out yesterday from the president asking every trial court judge to get in touch with you for the status quo. My district, the 18th Judicial District, our 3 trial judges, our 3 general sessions judges are all in favor of the status quo. And in closing, I'm going to tell you one story here, and it's important. If this is about digital reporters, nobody has really let us know, but I'm not going to have a digital reporter in my courtroom. Because let me tell you what happened when I had a digital reporter in my courtroom. She came in. It was during a rape trial, and the defendant got 35 years. And she came in, and the equipment was not operating correctly, and one time she forgot to push the recorder. So we had a portion of that trial we couldn't have. Our court reporters did the best they could to try to put the pieces together, and I'm thankful for that. But she missed voir dire, and she missed the first witness's testimony. A motion for new trial came up, and I am so thankful that none of the issues concerned that area. But if digital court reporters get involved, we've got that problem. And then they've got the tape. And it goes off to be transcribed by somebody who wasn't there and doesn't know who's speaking. So how in the world are we going to have any kind of accurate record? I'm here in support of them. They have made the 17 and a half years that I've been there something for me to be proud of, because we have a finished product for our appellate courts to see. And I hope we don't trade that in for anything. Thank you. Thank you for letting me spend a little bit more time. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, next up we have Ms. Sheila Wilson.
Is that live? Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. And so I'm going to speak really quickly because I recognize that His Honor was given quite a bit of extra time, and so we do appreciate that. And I believe my colleagues would be willing to give up their time to make that up, if indeed you would wish. So among the reasons expressed by TDCI to sunset the board are adequate consumer protections exist outside of the board's regulations, and the low number of complaints received by the board, and the fact that court reporters working in criminal and federal courts are not required to be licensed. So as to criminal and federal courts, those particular courts have contracts necessarily with the court reporters. We, in the general public, we're in the civil side. We don't have contracts. We are not, sorry, that His Honor kind of, turned me off there. So criminal and federal courts have contracts with those reporters, and those contracts contain certain instructions and directions to the reporters regarding the performance of their duties. But Tennessee licensure concerns civil cases only. We're not employees of the state, and we're not employees of the federal government. The bulk of our work is outside of the courtroom, like depositions and examinations under oath. Licensure specifically covers those particular proceedings. Removal of TBCR would remove all protections of litigants and the citizens of Tennessee, because all civil extrajudicial proceedings would then be unregulated. And it is very true that, yes, indeed, we do have a very organized associations, but we must be cognizant that these are strictly voluntary organizations which have zero, absolutely zero regulatory authority. With the influx of automated speech recognition and artificial intelligence in our legal system, licensed court reporters are the first line of defense to ensure that personal identifying information and data is not being uploaded to the cloud and disseminated anywhere, which is exactly what happened. I believe Mr. Alex, I'm so sorry, I forgot your last name. Martin?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, sir. I believe you had used Kentucky or mentioned Kentucky as one of the states not licensed when you spoke with the legislators. Well, in Kentucky, which is, again, you're correct, an unlicensed state, there was a family law deposition of a medical provider for minor children, and it was released on the internet for training purposes to train transcribers. Had that happened in Tennessee, those persons would have come immediately, I'm confident, before the Board of Court Reporting. And in particular, the rule that I'm talking about is TBCR's rule that says, shall preserve the confidentiality and ensure the security of information by any and all of the parties in the proceedings. Kentucky doesn't have that. Luckily, they took that piece of that deposition off the internet, and I'll say my time has expired. So I thank you very much. May I read 2 sentences, just quickly, if I may? Sir?
Yes, ma'am. So I just want to remind everybody that the most fair way to do this is to keep to the standard 3 minutes that we've allocated for everyone. I want to emphasize, that's our standard for rulemaking hearings and other board and commission meetings that allow everyone an adequate chance to speak. To ensure that everybody has a chance to make their points, we're leaving the fillable form online open for an additional week.
Sure.
So we do want to collect those comments, but I would just ask if you could please remain
no problem.
at 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Next is Keith Lemons.
My name is Keith Lemons. My name is Keith Lemons. I'm a retired court reporter of 42 years. I was Tennessee president at the time that this law was established, and also one of the co-authors of the first version of the law. I am also the National Court Reporters Association president-elect for next year. The reason that this law was enacted was not to help court reporters. It was to help the public. The public needed to be sure and assured that court reporters have had the competence, the training, and the ethical considerations that are needed in this particular job. The job of the court reporter is to make sure that what happens in court proceedings is accurate and can be and can be relied upon with 100%. So that's why I stand in opposition to this.
Thank you. Next is Diane Angel.
So let me just quickly clarify. I didn't see the exact individual, but I think someone had volunteered to give up their time for Judge Gay there. That's not necessary. We want everybody to have a chance to speak.
Ask a question. I want to address. Okay. I didn't want to not face them if. Okay. Okay. My name is Diane Angel. I'm a court reporter in Chattanooga, and I am speaking on behalf of Judge Michael Collins, who is the Circuit Court Judge in Division II in Gordonsville, Tennessee. As a Circuit Court Judge for the 15th Judicial District of Tennessee, it has come to my attention that the Tennessee Board of Commerce and Insurance is considering terminating the licensure requirements for court reporters in our state and hereby sunsetting the board which governs them. I am adamantly opposed to this. Court reporters, like attorneys, judges, police officers, and support staff, play an integral part in our legal system. In court, while others receive the most attention in the courtroom, it is often said that the court reporter is the most important person in the courtroom, as that person is the guardian of the record, sitting quietly while writing down every word that is uttered during a proceeding. This protects individual rights, individual litigants, victims of crimes, and justice itself by ensuring the integrity of the record of the proceedings in our trial courts. I cannot overstate the importance of this task. Perhaps in today's world of video recordings, some have had the notion that the time-honored profession of court reporting is becoming obsolete. That is not true at all. Any judge will tell you they do not have time to stream hours of video or audio from a trial or a deposition. A properly prepared written record is vital. There is no technology that would come close to the accuracy and skill of a licensed court reporter. Clerks cannot certify the record on appeal and do not have time to make sure an artificial intelligence program or recording accurately preserved what was said during proceedings. Without licensure, it will be inevitable that individuals who do not have the proper training, education, or experience to produce a record may cause irreparable harm to our legal system. I can foresee cases tried and retried because of inaccurate transcripts. Justice will be delayed at best and likely sacrificed completely in some cases. TCA 29603 states that only a licensed court reporter can practice reporting in our state. In order to maintain that license, a court reporter must obtain continuing education every 2 years. Court reporters also must follow a code of professional ethics, including being fair, impartial, guarding against the appearance of impropriety, preserving confidentiality and information. This is especially important in civil proceedings involving juveniles as well as corporate litigation, which could involve trade secrets. Licensure is the best way to make sure that those who are trusted with this information and the important task of taking down an accurate record and preserving it will perform this task in a manner that best serves justice. Honorable Michael Collins, 15th Judicial District, Circuit Judge, Division II. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Patricia Smith.
My name is Patricia, licensed court opportunity. My name is Patricia Smith, and I'm a licensed court reporter in the state of Tennessee. Thank you for this opportunity to comment. Along with Keith Lemons, who just spoke, I was one of the reporters serving on the board of Tennessee Court Reporters Association, which is and always has been a strictly voluntary professional association. I was serving on the board when the association was contacted by Tennessee State Representative Sherry Jones, who was a member of the House Children and Family Affairs Committee. Representative Jones requested a meeting with the Tennessee Court Reporters Association to discuss two serious issues her constituents were having with court reporters. During the meeting with Representative Jones, we were instructed, I'm shaken, that court reporters must clean up our act. because she was surprised, and I'm using a soft term there, to find that there was no board of oversight and no enforceable code of ethical conduct for court reporters. The admonishment to clean up our act stemmed from 2 reporters involved in what were considered unethical situations involving a serious transcript production issue, and the other, a personal and unethical involvement of the reporter with a party litigant. And both of these situations involved parental rights and family matters. In other words, related to children. As Representative Jones was a member of the House Children and Family Affairs Committee of the Tennessee Legislature, she was the original sponsor of a bill for licensure and a board of oversight. The only recourse at that time for her constituents involved in the 2 family matters was litigation against the court reporters. There was no licensing or regulatory board which the parties could immediately contact for direction or relief. Think about this. These constituents were already embroiled in litigation involving the most important thing in their lives, their children, and their only recourse to deal with the unethical behavior of the court reporters was more litigation, adding more of a burden to our legal system. In the absence of licensure and in the event of sunsetting the TBCR, our rules of conduct and our code of professional ethics for court reporters will be unenforceable. For 3 years, court reporters across the state worked hard to educate Tennessee legislators and the general public on the importance of licensure. And Public Chapter 450 was enacted in 2009 and became effective July 1, 2010. Why is the history of where we find ourselves today important? Because to sunset the TBCR is to go backwards. It's to put ourselves back to the position Representative Jones found herself. My mind is boggled to think, why in the world would we go backwards? And it seems the reasoning for this push for sunsetting is vague at best, maybe even unfounded. I'm sorry, that was 3 minutes. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Next is Sarah Motley.
I'm Sarah Motley. I'm a reporter and have been in Tennessee for 14 years. I am currently the president-elect of the Tennessee Court Reporters Association. And my comment today is mainly around the consumer protection issue. It will for sure be a consumer protection issue. The attorneys that I've spoken with and worked with since this has all come about have been very confused and surprised and cannot understand why reporters in Tennessee would not be licensed. And it is confusing that we have brought it to their attention when it directly affects court reporters and attorneys and judges in our state, and they had no clue and they don't understand why. And we are the keeper of the record, and in countless court proceedings and depositions, we are referred to as the most important person in the room, and there's a reason for that. Attorneys make an assumption that a reporter they hire is qualified to do their job. Right now, what qualifies a reporter to adequately do their job is the fact that they are licensed. If you get rid of licensure, any person can pay for a Google ad and hold themselves out to be a court reporter, whether they can know how to provide court reporting services or not. And the argument against that is, well, the market will sift out the unqualified reporters, but at what cost? If an attorney hires an unqualified court reporter who completely botches a transcript, loses a transcript, doesn't produce a transcript, that not only damages the attorney, but the client is likely damaged as well. And that damage could be life-changing depending on the case. That could happen a lot, and that's not only a consumer protection issue, but also a justice issue. How many times does that have to happen before we're right back here trying to re-invoke the licensure for court reporters in Tennessee? We also don't want to put extra burden on attorneys and their staff to do extra due diligence, to do deep dives to figure out if a reporter is qualified and can actually produce a transcript. Licensure is currently a safeguard and check and balance that assists attorneys in knowing who they can hire and trust. Thank you.
Next, we have Patricia Nielsen.
Turning page. I am Patricia Nilsson, licensed court reporter 717 in this state. I've been a reporter since 1995, and I was a federal official in New York in the Southern District for 14 years before I moved here. I've been here for 7 years. I also currently hold licenses in California and Texas. As a stenographer of 28 years, I firmly believe that machine shorthand is the gold standard method for capturing the record. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out that Tennessee is one of the only states that actually licenses digital reporters, i.e. people who do nothing more than come in with a tape recorder and press record. While I consider that an inferior method, that is what makes our licensing requirements so very important, since these are people without skills, education, and training that licensed stenographers have. They're being paid a nominal fee to do our jobs. This licensure requirement for these reporters ensures that they at least have to have some grammatical skills, legal knowledge to deliver an accurate record. I say deliver as they are generally not the people transcribing the recordings, but the licensure assures that there is a person accountable for ensuring a usable transcript is produced. Without this licensing requirement for them, attorneys in the state are going to see a lot more garbage and possibly unusable transcripts filled with inaudible. The licensing requirement is absolutely essential for protecting attorneys and the citizens of the state who they represent from a worthless, inaccurate record. The current requirement of a few very basic and easy tests that they currently have to pass to obtain licensure at least weeds out those who aren't interested in court reporting as a career. Without it, the market could become flooded with these lower skilled workers putting out an inferior product. With regards to how things are transcribed, I encourage everyone to Google transcription side hustle. The TikTok generation has apparently discovered that they can get jobs with some of these transcription agencies and not actually listen to what they're given, but just feed it through a voice recognition software and turn it as is and still get paid. And they can make $2,000 to $3,000 a month doing this. If the end result is maybe you get a transcript that is 80% accurate, will the part you need to appeal your case be in the 80% or the 20%? There's a revolving door on the gig industry with these type of jobs. They are not career jobs. Licensure ensures workers who are invested in protecting your record. In a time when AI is just starting to become more prominent and will be used in ways we likely can't imagine in the coming years, now is definitely not the time to take away the requirement that a human with some degree of certification is responsible for keeping and certifying an accurate record. On a more personal note, as a professional reporter sworn to uphold ethical standards, I respect the laws of other states and only take remote depositions in cases venued where I am licensed to do so. There are national court reporting agencies that are very aware of what states have licensure requirements and what states don't. As an independent contractor, I would now be competing for remote work with reporters from other states who may not be able to pass their state's requirements, or even worse, someone who just calls themselves a reporter, presses the record, and then ships their recording off to God knows where to get it transcribed and hope the audio quality was good enough. Okay. The cons right now outweigh any pros, so I oppose.
Thank you. Next is Helen Stevens.
Thank you. To speak. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm Helen Stevens. I've been a reporter here in Nashville area since 1990. And I basically would reiterate everything that's been said here. We are officers of the court. Anyone in the courtroom doesn't have to question whether we're unbiased or who hired us or, who our brother or sister might be or any relative of ours, because we are officers of the court and ensure every citizen of this state that they will have a correct record. We are guardians of the record. We are in charge of it. And I would just say I was also on the board back when we were kind of trying to get this together, and it took us a while to do. It took us years. We hired lobbyists. We started the grassroots in the state. And I was just kind of surprised to see that here we are. I don't understand. To me, the sign of not many complaints means that the board is doing its job. It requires licensure. continuing education credits. I'm also a member of our national association. I have to get credits for that, also my certification with them. But, not many reporters are here, which is fine. We decided we had to license all forms of reporting when we got this passed. We were a right-to-work state, and we're not trying to put anybody who is qualified out of business. We just want to make sure the ones that are licensed remain licensed, because unfortunately we will turn into a dumping ground where any reporter that wants to report, they look and see which states don't have licensure. And we don't want to be one of those states again. So I do oppose it. Thank you.
Next is Michelle Henson.
Hello, I'm Michelle Henson. Hi. I'm one of the people who have put their names in to be a part of the board. One of the things I noticed when I was looking at the paperwork about why we might be sunsetting a couple of open and people who had been on the board for a while who needed to roll off the board, and frankly there weren't replacements for them. So here I am. I'm here to do it. I think we have other people, if there was a position available, who would be happy also to do that. So that is one of the problems solved. And I think another problem that we have is a lot of people really don't know what we do up there with those little machines. They're a big mystery. It's smoke and mirrors. It's like, how do they do that? How do they do every word? And it's hard. We go to school for a long time to learn to do it. We continue our education. It's not just how to do that. Anybody can learn that. It's how to make it efficient. It's how to make it clear. It's how to make it so that I can stream it to that laptop so you can see every word that she's saying and he's saying, that man's saying. Somebody in the back of the room shouts out and says that the judge has to get onto. There's all kinds of scenarios. We write it all down. We write every person in the room. If we were having a hearing with the panel, we'd be writing that person, that person, that person, in order that they did it. And on the paper, it would identify who the speaker was. We don't get lost in who's speaking. We don't have inaudibles. We don't have unidentified people in our transcripts. We don't have terms and words we don't know in our transcripts. We're the people who find those things out. I'm doing a huge landfill case right now. Chemicals, this long, never heard of them. I write them phonetically. They come out in word pieces. I go back, I find the chemical in the document on the internet by calling somebody who knows chemicals, and I spell it right every time. I differentiate chloro this from chloro that. That's kind of what I've been doing for the last few weeks, so it's kind of top of mind. So we need accuracy. And we do have electronic reporters licensed here in the state. I don't think anybody has really had. That's fine. That's fine if they're not getting complaints. We don't want to drive anybody out of business. What we want is accountability. I want that electronic reporter, or whoever's doing the reporting, whatever method, a mask writer, a voice writer, an electronic, a stenographer. I want all the transcripts to be as good as mine. And if we're licensed, we have a baseline. We know what it's supposed to be. We know how we're supposed to do this job. We're trained to do it. We all have the same continuing education requirements, which get us to the point 30 years into my career where I can sit down with lawyers from, frankly, all over the country and write a chemical landfill job and do a good job. We all do good jobs. Thank you.
Amber Thompson.
Hi, my name is Amber Thompson, and I think I've emailed with a few of you guys. I'm actually currently president of our Tennessee Court Reporters Association. I'm going to make mine really quick. Almost everyone has said everything that I was going to say. I did want to address one of the concerns about us not having many complaints to the board, and it was one of the reasons that was given for why we were recommended for sunsetting. We all have invested a lot of time, energy, and money into our careers. We are invested in our careers and we care about our jobs. This is why there are not many complaints. We want every reporter to be this way, but sometimes people need someone to hold them accountable, and that is what we think the TBCR's function is. Licensure holds reporters accountable, which is what we're asking for. We're asking to protect the citizens of Tennessee by protecting their record with licensure. That is it. Thank you.
I don't think we have anyone else signed up to speak. Is there anyone who has not had an opportunity to sign in who would like to speak? Seeing that concludes today's public comment hearing. We sincerely appreciate each of you taking the time to come and participate and engage in this process. Just want to remind everybody that the fillable form will be online and will be available for another week. At the conclusion of that time frame, we'll make all comments available to the Government Operations Committee over at the General Assembly. Thank you again for being here.